Here's a side-by-side of two types of thermal fusion goggles. On the left, you'll see footage captured using a conventional PVS-14 infrared night vision device with a clip-on thermal imager, also called a COTI. The PVS-14 is built by Dark Industries using a Photonis Echo white phosphor tube, and the thermal is a JerryC Pro bought from Cold Harbor Supply. On the right, you're seeing footage captured using an enhanced night vision goggle, also known as an ENVG, called the AN-PSQ-20B, which has built-in thermal. The JerryC Pro you're viewing on the left is a front projection thermal imager, which means that it captures and then projects the thermal image into the front of the infrared goggle, and your eyes see a combined infrared and thermal image. The PSQ-20B, on the other hand, is a rear projection thermal, which means that it captures the thermal image and then overlays it onto the analog infrared output image after the photons have passed through the infrared image intensifier. There are pros and cons to both systems. Most COTIs produce a round thermal overlay that is the same shape as the image intensifier tube output. However, it doesn't cover the entirety of the infrared image. The JerryC Pro covers the majority of the tube's zone 2. Some COTIs are more narrow in their field of view. The PSQ-20 and many similar hybrid ENVGs produce a rectangular thermal image and is arguably less coverage than you would see on many COTIs. They both exhibit similar thermal image latency and lag. The JerryC Pro COTI appears to nuke its output more often, which typically looks like the image freezes for a split second, then refreshes. Both the PVS-14 and the PSQ-20B use standard MX11769 image intensifier tubes. One thing we've noticed is that all COTIs seem to have some kind of built-in dimming feature when exposed to bright light. Personally, whilst I can understand the infrared unit auto-gating to protect itself from very bright light, I would prefer it if the thermal didn't dim down. One observation many have noted is that the IRA and RIX tactical COTIs appear to produce a lot more false positives. Traditional COTIs, like the ECOTI and TAD made by Optics One, exhibit far less false positives, much like the thermals seen on ENVGs. Whilst eyepiece adapters do exist to allow you to use the COTI on its own, they are suboptimal and especially not advised to be used without being attached to an infrared device. Whereas a PSQ-20 can produce a usable signal without using the infrared device, and you can cover the infrared input lens if you just need to use the thermal during daylight operations. PVS-14s and IR binoculars in general use common NVG mounts, whereas the PSQ-20B uses a highly proprietary mount. Bridging the PSQ-20B with another monocular is difficult and bulky. PVS-14s are much easier to bridge, and binocular NVGs are very common. Probably one of the more obvious differences between the two is that since the thermal image on the COTI is front projected, the thermal image will always be in the same color spectrum as the tube color itself. Whereas on a rear projected device, like this PSQ-20, you have more color options for the thermal to help differentiate the two wavelengths you're viewing. For some odd reason, the JerryC Pro's initial turn-on and turn-off icons come on at maximum brightness, which while temporary, can leave ghosting on a sensitive night vision tube. One of the most important things to be aware of with a front projected COTI, it is highly advised that you turn off all heads-up display elements that are static on screen. Icons like battery life, compass, and any other data that remains unchanged while on can result in permanent burn-in on the image intensifier tube. The few minutes of testing with this COTI's compass shown in this clip was enough to leave semi-permanent burn-ins. In contrast, the PSQ-20 is rear projected and therefore has no risk of burn-in from heads-up display elements. So there are clear considerations to both of these types of thermal systems. Reflecting on all of this, I still think that front projected COTIs like the JerryC Pro and the Optics One ECOTI and TAD are all great systems, as they're much more affordable than hybrid ENVG type devices, and a COTI can easily be transferred to other infrared systems, thereby giving you a lot of utility for a head-mounted device.